pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
Season is over. It's done. Where do we go from here? That's the question. What's next for this team? At least we can finish. We all can say it together. All say it together. Just one time. It goes F the Bears. Ready? 1, 2, 3. F the Bears. At least we were able to sweep the Bears and not give Caleb Williams a satisfaction of a 4,000-yard season on our watch. Dan Campbell tried to give it to him. Calvin Shepard even doubled down, but it didn't happen. Aiden had a sack early, disappeared for the rest of the game. There was some good play. There was some no-name guys, some lesser-known guys getting some action tonight that played pretty well. But, man, even the refs, again tonight, some wild calls. Not as many. Wasn't a flag fest, but there was enough festivities to the flags going on. I didn't like it. It's been a long season. Even longer when you have to realize that your team is not what you thought they were going to be. They didn't play to their strength. They lost the run game every other game. The pass game seemed to be working the majority of the season, but the play calling wasn't there to meet it. Offensive line going through tonight would be the 9th different offensive line formation or 8th different offensive line formation. And some of those guys played better than the rest of the guys did all season. I don't know that Hubbard was a liability on the right side. I'm gonna say it, but I don't mean it. Nah, I better not say it. Y'all hate me. Is Penei Sewell a liability over there in pass protection? Oh, I had to say it. His pass protection's not great, but the dude's a road grader. But we didn't lose a lot tonight on the offensive line, but we definitely couldn't run the ball the way that we wanted to, the way that we know that we can. And it just at least it makes me happy a little bit to know that we finished strong, that this team finished the way that we hoped that they would. And try to get the Detroit Lions post game up. You know, I don't know. I guess I really don't know how to put this season into full context. There's going to be a lot of changes. I think there's going to be a significant amount of changes. Now, whether that's coaching changes, offensive, defensive coordinators, positional coaches. It's not Dan Campbell. It's not Brad Holmes. They're not going anywhere. It's not Jared Goff. The Lions couldn't walk away from that if they wanted to. But there's no reason why they would need to or should want to. The guy just put up another good night tonight. I think he played extremely well navigating the pocket, making the plays when he needed to make the plays the most, which was the last 2 minutes of the game. I don't want to use it as an excuse every year because now this is 2 years in a row. But I have to say that this season, and I have to hand it, I think it was Jim Jackson earlier in the live stream that made the very valid point that when you look at our record, again, a winning record this year, finishing 9-8. We've had a winning record now for 4 seasons in a row. When's the last time that we can really say that? When's the last time we've had 4 winning seasons and made the playoffs in 2 of them, right? A couple of playoff wins. Should have made the playoffs in 22. In this season, man, it was a myriad of reasons, but injuries. But finishing 9-8, the Packers didn't have a better record. The Vikings didn't have a better record. The only difference is we couldn't capitalize on our divisional games. Dan Campbell says it often. If you're going to, the first thing you're going to do, the first thing you can do, or you should try to do, is win your divisional opponents. All right? Beat your divisional opponents. That's the first thing you should do. And we didn't capitalize on that this year. We lost to the Vikings and the Packers. Can't do it. You can't do it if you want to win and make it into the postseason. Lions finished 9-8, 481 points scored, 413 points against. At home, they're 5-3. On the road this year, we struggled the most, 4-5. A season ago, we were undefeated on the road. And we swept the NFC North. Not this year. Not this year. Oh, man. I'll get phone lines open up in a little bit. Just trying to find the post-game show real quick with Dan Campbell. I don't see it listed, so it must be on the national. Anyone see it out there yet?
And they just look.
All right, here it is. Looks like it's scheduled for about another 14, 15 minutes. While we're waiting for that, let me just go through some of the stats, man. And then I'm just going to open up phone lines because, I've been talking for an entire season, and there's really nothing that I'm going to say right now that is going to make you feel better. There's nothing that I'm going to say that's any different than what I've been saying all year. I believe in a lot of players on this squad, and the majority of them will be back yet again. We have 38 players under contract. There's going to be some players that don't come back, that, rightfully so. There are some major concerns that I do have at a couple of positions. We'll talk about that too. But Jared Goff tonight had to put up the ball 42 times in a game that had some wind. Thankfully, the wind started to die down in the third and fourth quarter. But he was 27-42 tonight, 331 yards. He did take 2 sacks. He did throw one interception, and he did throw 1 TD. Caleb Williams on the other side was 20 of 33, 212 yards. He did not get his 4,000 yards on the season. 2 TDs, 1 interception, took 1 sack. Jahmyr Gibbs, decent night, not an amazing night by any means. 19 for 80. So his average on the night would be right around 4.1 yards a carry, or just under 4.1 yards per carry. David Montgomery, 8 for 42. So he averaged a little over 5 yards a carry. Not a great night, but not a bad night. The Lions put up 122 yards on the Chicago Bears, who've had a pretty damn good run defense over the last many games. DeAndre Swift held to 40. Kyle Monangai held to 14. Luther Burden had 1 end around for 10. Caleb Williams, 1 carry for 1 yard. That's a damn good job, I think, by Calvin Shepard when you have to worry about what Caleb Williams is able to do with his feet. I'm less concerned about his arm. I know a lot of people think to say or believe that Caleb Williams has this amazing arm. I don't believe he does. I think he has a cannon, but I also feel just like a cannon, it is extremely unreliable. And at times when you need big plays, they haven't been there. There's just way too much inconsistency with Caleb Williams. That is why his season-long completion percentage is under 63%. Lions receivers tonight, Amon-Ra St. Brown had one of his biggest nights of the season, 11 receptions, 139 yards. Did not find the end zone. Did have 15 targets on the night. Jameson Williams, not really many big breakaway plays tonight, but 6 receptions on 8 targets, 74 yards, one long play of 23 yards. Amon-Ra had the longest pass play of the night at 30. Khalif Raymond got a few extra passes tonight, 3 for 52. He had a long of 24. Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 for 33, 1 TD. Through the air, Isaac Tesla, 1 for 18. David Montgomery, 1 for 13. And Anthony Ferksker, 2 for 2. Lions defense doesn't surprise me that Jack Campbell is your leading tackler of the night with 11 tackles, 4 solo, no sacks. Aiden Hutchinson, 6 tackles tonight, 4 solo, 1 sack, 1 TFL. Malcolm Rodriguez, man, he made 4 tackles in a row at one point, it seemed, but 4 tackles tonight, 1 TFL. Tyleik Williams had an early TFL. It was a great stuff and stop by Tyleik Williams. The 1 sack tonight, 3 TFLs by your Detroit Lions defense, 1 interception by Avonte Maddox. Tom Kennedy had 2 kick returns for 40 yards. Khalif Raymond had 3 punt returns for 33 yards. And Jake Bates sent the season off to it wasn't a better finish, right, than beating the Bears in Chicago. But Jake Bates, 4 or 5 tonight. It was a kicking kind of a day. Dan Campbell took the points, and guess what? We won. Had Dan Campbell not taken the points tonight, we might not win this game. Who knows? But 13 points for Jake Bates. He's your leading scorer of the night. Jack Fox, 2 punts, 93 yards. 59 was his long tonight, man. That dude is something special. I have a feeling he's going to be up for another extension here pretty soon. I'm not sure when his contract ends, but it's not much longer. The Lions are going to have to do something. He was the highest paid punter in the league at one point, and he's probably going to have to be again if the Lions want to keep him. Hubbard was outstanding. Peter Van Larhoven says, and I believe it too. I think so too. Someone said that we should fire Hank Fraley. You've got to be kidding me. There is no reason in the world that Hank Fraley should be blamed for anything. I think that when you have a total transformation of offensive play calling and the style of plays that you're running, they didn't marry up with what this offensive line has been doing. And injuries galore. I mean, injury after injury after injury. None of these guys were extremely healthy all season long. And that's a big factor. And like I said, the beginning of the show, I don't want to use it as an excuse yet again. But this season is another season of injury. There's nothing else that I can say. You can't stay healthy. If you don't have soldiers on the field, you can't win the battle. It's that simple. We had too many good games this season, too many short stretches. The Lions played 6 games in 28 days. Or 30 days, excuse me. 6 games in 30 days. Tell me another team in the NFL that had 6 games in 30 days, and it was 2 stretches of like 11 or 12 days each, where they had 3 games in each one of those stretches with 10 days in between the stretch. That's pretty shitty by the NFL, if you ask me. Pretty shitty. I definitely don't agree with it. I guess we'll just leave it at that. I'm trying to load up the post game here. I'm just really glad that the Lions were able to finish this out. Be able to go off into the regular, the postseason. Yep, they may not be in it, but they'll at least be able to say that they finished strong, and that's all that matters, that they finished strong, and they didn't let another defeat happen, and bragging rights was what this was all about. You've got the bragging rights going into next season. You did not let Ben Johnson beat Dan Campbell. And these players showed out tonight for Dan Campbell. I think that they played pretty damn hard to make sure that team on the other side of the pond was not going to have the glory at the end of the day. This rivalry is going to be intense. We had a really good rivalry going with the Packers, and I think that rivalry is now with the Bears, for obvious reasons. All right, that's somewhat set up. Let me get phone lines open. I want you guys to tell me, man, what is on your mind for this season, this offseason? Where do we need the biggest help? Who is our biggest issue? And why? Is it coaching? Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. There it goes. All right, let me get the phone line buzzing. There you go. Call now. 313 podcast. If you'd like to call into the show and tell us all about your thoughts on the season, good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, let it all hang out. Let it all hang out. Now's the time. The last post-game show for 9 months. Next year we'll be doing a lot better than we are this year. Took a lot of time off this year. Wind back to chat a little bit. Maureen says injuries are absolutely an excuse. A decimated team is what the Lions have. They do. Brandon Hurt says, was the officiating not fishy because we were out of the playoffs? That's an interesting take, man. That's one I can get down with. Very interesting. I felt the officiating was okay tonight. I didn't think it was crazy bad, but wasn't crazy good. Injuries, no excuse, says Nick P. Well, then I don't know what. I think everything that I say, you just got to say the opposite. So whatever. Injuries are a huge part of every team. They are an excuse. Robbie, what's happening, man?
How you doing? I waited a few minutes to see if anybody else would call in, but no one else wants to call in, so I don't want you sitting there talking to yourself.
Oh, it's all right. I like talking to myself.
I do too.
It's just when I start answering myself, that's the problem. That's what you got to worry about.
No, that's not the problem. You can ask yourself questions. It's the point when you start arguing with yourself.
No.
That's where some issues may come in.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that when I'm just standing in the middle of Lowe's somewhere. I'm just going to start having an argument with myself and see if people notice. All right. So what's up, man?
Great game by Detroit. I think we did a lot of things well. I noticed the offense started opening up a bit. With the formations, we weren't running as many tight formations, which was a sigh of relief. I'm still a little curious why we keep drifting away from Monty in the running game. He seemed to be getting traction when he got touches, whether it was catching or running the ball. And Gibbs was feeding off of it. Most of his productive runs occurred when Monty came out of the game and he'd take over. So that was an interesting dynamic. Why we stopped running with Montgomery. Yeah, I think this team has a lot of the right pieces in place. Decimated with a year of injuries last year and this year. It did help with the development of some depth pieces being blustered into starting roles and seeing more of the field during the games. And I think that's going to go very, very far for their development. I honestly, I think we need to focus on the O-line, a tackle, a guard, and a center. I'd like to see us get all three, two of them earlier in the draft, the center and a left tackle. I think we need to keep Penei Sewell where he is at right tackle. I don't want to see him move over to the left side. Most of the elite rushers are on the play left end over the right tackle. We did have a number of different injuries this year. I definitely think we need a new OC, someone that might understand the strengths of this offense a little bit better. If you keep bunching up these four offensive formations, this team has wheels, and these guys need room to run. If you're bunching them up, they're going to trip on each other. They got to wait for someone else to get out of their way.
Raw, hold on one sec. Can nobody hear Raw? Nobody can hear. Hold on. That's interesting. One sec. Had the same
playing for pride, for the man next to them, and for the love of the game. All of that was a.
Can you guys hear that post-game show playing?
Yes, I heard you, no problem.
Yeah, so hold on. So Bees is saying can't hear the caller. Everyone else is saying they can hear him just fine. Hold on. I just got to go back and check. Give me one sec. All right, Rock, go ahead. I'm just going to turn you up. I think you're just a little bit low on my end.
Oh, I don't talk very loud, so maybe that's on me.
You're good. Go ahead.
I like that we started getting out of the bunch formations in this game, and then we came back to it a little bit. These guys are all incredibly quick on our roster. They need space to run. If you're bunching them up, they got to wait for guys to get going and make a cut, and then they can go like it's a traffic jam, especially with the defense lined up trying to cover a bunch formation. We definitely need to spread out this offense, let these guys get some breathing room so they can get their legs under them and get going sooner rather than later, so Goff ain't sitting back there waiting for guys to get their roots developed for the defense to shift a certain way. It'll help him get the ball out of his hands a little quicker, I think. Looking into that center, Jake Slaughter, like he's definitely looking like a beast. I mean, his arms are almost twice the size of Glasgow's right now coming out of college. I know Glasgow's a little bit of a seasoned vet, so he might have lost a little bit of his size getting older and whatnot, but Jake Slaughterhouse looks like Frank Ragnow when he came out of college, and Frank looked like a beast. So,
yeah,
I think with
hold on one sec. So there was a question that kept coming up last week where I was being asked, and it was either in chat or in comments, and I never got back to it. But it was about the center, and everyone kept saying, "Well, we should have taken a center and put him at guard." Or grabbed a guard and put him at center or whatever, but we should have done it last year and done the same thing we did with Frank Ragnow, and that Tate should be our center, right? And I'm like, okay, we keep making this analogy that putting Tate at guard and then moving him to center is exactly what Frank did. Well, I'm not making that analogy. Other people are making this analogy. is not the same. You see, Frank was a center that could play guard. He just happened to find a spot at guard because Glasgow was our center. And then when Glasgow was moved on from, they put Frank at center. So it's a big difference when you can already play center, but never playing center in your life, which Tate has never done. That is my biggest reason why I don't think that they will make that move, and that Jake Slaughter is the reason or is the answer, at least for the Lions in 2026, and why I would spend a first round pick on somebody like that. Because to your point, the dude is massive. He's a beast of a dude. So is Proctor, left tackle or center. I mean, I would take either, but I don't think that you can ever really pass on a center and take second best, because there's a big divide between these guys. So I say all that to ask you the question: do you think that Tate Rowledge has an opportunity to become a good center? Would the Lions make a big mistake there in passing up on a center if they get the right opportunity in the first or second round?
I think it's clear cut and evident that we need a center. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Glasgow was a bridge, a Band-Aid. It didn't even cover up the bleeding very well. It didn't seal the cut. Like, we got killed through the middle of that O-line. We 100% need a center. Goff wasn't pressured as much from the right and left tackle. He was, but not as much as he was pressured through the center. Especially when you got the twin monsters over there in Philly with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter jumping up and batting balls down. Like, we need a center. Like, those guys are able to do that on a 3 or 5 step drop back because they're getting penetration. More so on a 5-step drop back, not so much a 3. They're pretty close to them already. But we need someone in the middle to direct and assign blocking based off the play that we're running. I understand we need a left tackle. We can pick up one in FA to breed a bridge and draft one in the second round. We need a center, 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I would highly agree. I get really giddy inside when I look at Proctor, and I just see how massive he is and how big of a load, he's going to be as a rookie. I haven't seen somebody with that kind of size that moves that well, that's squatting over 800 pounds. He's deadlifting, over 415 pounds. The dude can run, I think, 505 in a 40, which is crazy for a guy his size at 6'7", 366 pounds. He's massive. And as much as we need a center, I don't know that I could pass on Proctor. I don't know that Taylor Decker comes back next year, and even if he does, my thought process is this, Raw. If you've had that many issues in one season with your shoulder, and you had a whole offseason the year before to take care of it, what is going to make 2026 any better? And does he have the Frank Ragnow, issue going on where it may just not ever get better? I wouldn't risk it. Okay, let him come back. He's a post-June 1 release. You can save an ass load of money in cap. I think it's close to $15 or $16 million as a post-June 1, which means you can go all the way through camp with him. So you could still bring in a rookie, go through camp with him, and then see what happens. All right, Dan Campbell's at the podium. Raw, if you want to call back, feel free, but I want to hear what Dan has to say. Or if you want to hang out, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I can chill.
All right, just go ahead and chill. Let me see what Dan has to say.
Easiest thing, you get eliminated, and it's hard for some guys to, you're back out in the elements, and it's with the team that's already clinched, but our guys fought, man, and from the beginning, even when they came back, we were up 2 scores, they came back, our guys didn't bat an eye, and we were able to finish it out, and it was really one of the best games we played as far as complimentary football. That's really what. A lot of really good performances by a lot of guys. Questions?
Just the defense in particular, Dan, especially the run defense. That was a team that came in, I think, averaged about 150 yards. 65 yards was the lowest they've had all year long. You really seemed to control that part of it, and they couldn't really get going because of it. It seemed especially early.
Yeah, I mean, that was big. You know, it's always going to be an emphasis during the week, but we knew that was, you know, that's what you have to do to control that offense. You have to be able to control the run game, and for us, we knew we wanted to get going. We really kind of opened it up with a pass game, but then once we did, and some of the perimeter runs, that we really started busting it open. I thought the old line did a good job. Really proud of Decker and Graham. Man, Hubbard, you know, getting his first start in a while, off the practice squad, ready to go. You know, we'll see the tape, but I thought he did some really good things. But the old line in general, you know, really showed up for us today.
The complementary football, why were you guys able to stifle them offensively for the first 3 quarters there?
Defensively, or yeah, their offense, yeah. Well, we were able to get off the field, and so you know, we didn't get any of these explosive runs. You know, they hit a couple, but you know, okay, 7-yard gain, and then we're able to get 2 more stops, right? And we get off the field, and so man, the 3 and outs were big, and then we were able to control it on offense. We had some long drives, took up a lot of the clock. Conversions, we got to turn those into touchdowns, but ultimately makes it hard. When you're the other play caller on the other sideline and your offense can't stay on the field, you know, you just went through 3 plays and you're like, okay, what's going on? You know, you start going through well, what should we get to? Well, you only ran 3 plays. So, and then you come back and now you only run 6 plays. It's hard to figure out what you want to get to, what you're trying to set up for the next time if you're able to just go 3 and out or 6 and out, you know? And so that was big for our defense. They really set the tone for the day, and they're, again, just complimentary football.
I'm going to pause it here, Raw. I'm going to do a little live commentary during this because, and I have to stop it here. Yep. What Dan is saying here, you know, for the Bears, that they couldn't get into their rhythm offensively, and he has a lot of knowledge in this, Dan does, because we haven't gotten into a rhythm offensively in a majority of games this season since, you know, Dan took over play calling. It did not look good. But you know what? It really wasn't much different in the beginning of the season either with Johnny Moe. So he gets it. Dan understands it. And he's a little bit more chipper tonight. He's got a little bit more pep in his step. And I can only imagine that's because, number one, he got to beat Ben Johnson for the 2nd time this year. The Grasshopper didn't beat the Master in this one yet again, and most importantly is Dan was able to have a team tonight that played pretty well. I mean, there was a lot of moments tonight that I went crazy on some things that we were doing, but overall, you know, what Dan is saying is correct, and he got to finish on a high note. Hubbard, you know, the fact that Hubbard was a practice squad activation, 10+ years in the league, hasn't played, you know, in a long time, hasn't started a game in a long time, played pretty well. And I think that's, to me, speaks more volumes about a player with muscle memory and experience that I would take hand over fist every day, you know, 10 times in a row. I would take a guy with more experience than anything else. And that's why I believe Decker was left in the majority of this season, even with that bum shoulders, because of his experience and what he knows and how he can perform when he does have an opportunity to perform well. So, again, I'll get your quick take here on, you know, not being able to get into a rhythm and how the Lions are able to control that defensively early, and pretty much the entire game they were able to control it until the end there. The last, 2-3 possessions, the Lions kind of gave up some things.
Okay, so regarding not getting into any sort of rhythm and being able to run the ball, I think Derek Barnes had a very, very good game. He finally got his legs under him coming back from that injury from last year. He did have a missed tackle on Luther Burden where Luther Burden kind of led him and then took him out of his shoes. But other than that, Derek Barnes played very, very well. Malcolm Rodriguez, as you mentioned earlier, when he was out there, he was playing solid gap assignment, and that's what the Lions are. We play disciplined gap assignment, and we force you into 2nd and 3rd and long situations. Now, regarding Hubbard playing center, although he had a good game, you got to look at what the Bears do well. The Bears' front 7 isn't elite. It's their secondary that is really, really good.
No, Hubbard played right. He was right tackle tonight.
Okay.
Yeah,
That still brings me back to the whole point, though. The Bears overall are a good defensive team, but their secondary is great. Their secondary is what makes them a good defensive team. That front seven isn't renowned for being able to stop the run, applying pressure on the quarterback. It's not like we're playing the Vikings, who have really great front seven and an okay secondary. You know what I mean? Like the talent depth there between the two teams that just leads into my whole 8 phases of football, not 3 phases of football that I was bringing up to you last time I called in.
Yeah. I'm gonna put Dan back on real quick. To Nick P in the chat. Did I say deadlift on Proctor? I didn't mean deadlift. He cleaned over 405 pounds. Matter of fact, I'll read you the statement on Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor, Alabama left tackle, by the way, is who I'm talking about. So he made the 2025 Feldman's freak list. And what he had said, what Feldman said is 6'7", 366 pounds. He has 274 pounds of lean muscle mass, which is a 26% body fat at 366 pounds. His strength numbers are out of this world. This summer, he squatted 815 pounds, benched 535, power cleaned 405, but that's not even the best of it. He had a vertical jump of 32 inches. He had a broad jump of 9'3", and he's 366 pounds. So that's exactly why Caden Proctor is my guy. He is my number 1 overall left tackle right now, is because he has the strength, but now we have to see it line up on the field.
Doesn't sound like he's going to be there.
No.
It sounds like he's going to go in the top 5.
Yeah, he's definitely a top 10. He could be a top 5. It all depends on how he does, with his agility training and that when he gets into his pro days. We'll see, man, but he is a dream. He is a dream. Just like John Jassange says, he's a dream player for us, but Brad's going to have to do something crazy.
Based on our finish, I have us from pick 11 to 14. We're somewhere going to be slotted in that range.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. All right, here we go, Dan Campbell.
Offensively, being able to control the time of possession, especially here, I think it was 11 plays, 16 plays, 9 plays, 11 plays on your scoring drives. Just being able to maintain the football much better than you have been probably the last month or so.
Third down was really good for us, really good. Our protection was great, and Goff was, man, he was on it, and just his pocket presence, awareness, getting rid of the ball, knowing where to go, processing the whole thing, and then our playmakers making plays, our guys making plays, and that includes Leaf. Leaf's had some big plays for us, obviously JMO. Saint was huge once again. When is he not huge? But I felt like everybody had a hand in that. Gibbs, even Furt. So, we were able to spread it around, and Goff found them. So it was a good job.
Dan Campbell mentions third down was huge for us tonight. Let me give you the breakdown of what third down actually was. So Lions' first possession, their first third down was a 3rd and 3. That's exactly where you want to be. They completed that with an 18-yard pass. The Lions' next third down didn't come for, 6 plays later. They get into a 3rd and 5. It was an incomplete. They end up taking a field goal. Lions' next possession, 16 plays, by the way. The first possession, 11 plays. Like, we haven't seen the offense running that well since, week 2 of this season. The third down that the Lions got into was after 5 plays, and they had an incompletion. 13-yard pass, and then on first down, it was an incompletion. So, again, 3rd and 9. It's not where you want to be, but they were able to find a way to complete it and move the chains forward. Their next third down didn't come for several, at least 5-6 plays later. 3rd and 7, not quite 3rd and manageable, which is, 3rd and 6 or better. But again, a 12-yard pass. They found a way to complete it and move the chains forward. Their next third down happened just 3 plays later. And again, another incompletion, and we took the field goal in that one too. Our third possession went 9 plays, 76 yards, and we saw a 3rd and 1. We had a 5-yard penalty on a 0-yard run. We went to 4th and 1, and then we converted. Let's see. Our next third down was 3rd and 4, another 3rd and manageable. Lions had a 15-yard touchdown pass on that drive. The next third down happened on the 4th possession, 6 plays, 35 yards. Lions had a missed field goal, and that was on a 3rd and 10, end of the second quarter. That was our last third down of the first half. 4-play punt. We had 1 third down, 3rd and 4. We got sacked, dropped us to 3rd and 9. Can't take a sack on 3rd down. 6th possession, 11 plays, 74 yards. The Lions are really moving the ball well tonight. Where we kept getting hung up is we kept getting hung up in the red zone, which has been one of our Achilles heels this year, which I can't explain because we've always been so good in the red zone. 3rd and goal, incompletion, and another field goal. So there was only 1 third down in that, was that our 5th or 6th possession there? It was our 2nd possession in the 3rd quarter. So Lions did exactly what Dan said, man. They did really well. They got into a lot of 3rd and manageables, and they were able to convert. Definitely a different team.
Obviously, 2022 is a
I
different
think
situation, but
whenever
going
you
on
play 60 minutes of football and you only have to punt once throughout the game,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty efficient offense. I know you probably would have liked to go for it a few times on 4th down, but those field goals were clutch for us to bring home the win today.
Yeah,
So I'm glad he decided to take the points and not be so aggressive, even though he probably wanted to. I have to practice that approach myself when I play Madden. I'm very aggressive offense, and I try and put myself in those 4th and short situations so that I can go for it and not kick a field goal. But this is in real life, and I'm glad to see Dan hold a little bit of reserve there and tailor his aggression to take the points.
Yeah, I'm glad he took the points, too. Let's go back to Dan Campbell's 3rd question of the night.
kind of led y'all into a better season next year. Do you feel like, when you end the season on, can that bleed into the next year at all when you go on a high note with a win that last?
Well, I'll say this. I believe that things happen for a reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, or what. And I just, when something like this happens, I believe it's going to be for the best. And it's up to Brad and I to make it for the best. And the guys that we know we're going to count on that are on this team. So that's how I view it, because as good as it felt to get that, and it's the last one, let's call it what it is. Pretty pissed all week, and it's a bad feeling. And now we're going into the playoffs, and you get to watch everybody else go while you're sitting at home, and it's frustrating. So that's what fuels you. We don't want to be doing that again next year. That's not where we want to be. You got to get in.
Did you showed up today in your mind that maybe you hadn't seen for several weeks with this team?
Well, probably just that complimentary football. I mean, honestly, when we needed it most, all 3 phases really showed up for us in a big way. I mean, it was like clockwork. We were able to control the time of possession. The not that we were necessarily trying to do that, but have these long drives, and then and about the time something bad happens on offense, the defense steps right up and just comes up with a big takeaway or a big stop. And then when we get scored on, our offense goes right down the field when we needed it. That series at the end where we have the turnover, defense holds them, forces the punt, and then we go back. Goff hit Saint for that huge play. We got some runs there to get us in field goal range, and then Bates, after the one he had earlier, steps up in a critical and makes it. I mean, that's what winning teams do, and we haven't had that in a while. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks.
Did you learn anything about your team this week, or did it just reaffirm?
No, I think it reaffirmed. We'll know some things just watching the tape about how some of these guys did, particularly some of the young guys. But the guys that I knew we could count on showed up again, one more time, which didn't surprise me one bit. And I still believe the nucleus of this team is right. I really do. But we're going to need to make a few changes,
That's Dan Campbell. Shout out to my article about talking about the nucleus. Just kidding. I'm going to keep rolling.
And that's not just talking about that. It'll be collectively. We're gonna have to work through some things to get the best version of ourselves.
You got a lot of old friends on that sideline. Did that give you or the team any extra juice, do you think, coming into this one at all?
I mean, I don't. Honestly, I've been so whatever with what happened last week, and just trying to get prepared for this one. And get our guys ready to go. I don't know. You'd have to ask them. But listen, I wish them well. A lot of people that I think a lot of over there. Between obviously, Ben and the guys that were with us, JT and L. But then, man, that half that staff's from New Orleans. They were, I know those guys. I coach with them in New Orleans. So I wish them the best of luck, and I respect the hell out of them. They're good coaches, good men.
All right, no love lost for Dan Campbell, though. He does respect the hell out of Ben Johnson, I guess, but whatever. I don't think that Ben respects Dan. At least that's the take that I got this year, and the interaction they had in the first game, and some of the interactions that, I guess some of the things that Dan Campbell said this year. He intentionally didn't mention Ben Johnson a couple of times, and it just kind of made me feel like something happened between those guys. But anyway, what else is on your mind tonight, Raw, as far as what these changes are for the Lions in 2026? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what I was asking a question there. What are your maybe I had you muted. What are your thoughts for the rest of the tonight and what these changes are for 2026?
Well, I don't know if anybody paid attention in preseason or not, but I think Brad Holmes got a really good steal in Dan Jackson from UGA.
Oh, yeah.
He had a really, really good preseason, but he got hurt and he's on IR.
Yep.
I think he's going to come back and he's going to be a very, very key supplemental role. I don't think we need to draft a safety. I would keep Maddox for another year. He's a great depth piece, and he can fill in as a starter in the slot or at safety. Clearly, as we saw with that interception today, very heads-up play, being able to turn himself around and go cut back across the field to run with DJ Moore, who's really, really quick. I honestly don't think there's a whole lot we need to change with this team. I think we need a new OC who understands this offense, what they're capable of, and what their attributes are. I don't think Johnny Morton is that guy. I've been saying that for a while now. I think we need a couple offensive pieces. Now, this is my thing with the center position, okay? When you look at the tier 1 centers in this draft and then the tier 2 centers, there's a much larger gap. So those tier 1 centers become much, much more valuable. And then you look at the tier 1's right and left tackles, and there's more equality there just due to the volume of players that may fit into that bracket. But not only that, but the tier 2 right and left tackles aren't that far off from the tier 1s. So that also lowers the value of getting those players with such a high quality pick. Because that center position, like, those guys are so rare when they come into the league. Like, you just don't get a Creed Humphrey, a Frank Ragnow, a Tyler Lindenbaum. You just don't get those guys that come around all the time. So the ability to pluck one out of a draft and hold on to him for the next decade is so valuable. I know the left tackles, you got your good handful of tackles in the league, and then you got the players that fall underneath them, tier 2s, tier 3 players. But
yeah,
you have so many more of those players than you do of those centers.
Correct. And that's what I was saying, one, in my article, and two, over the last couple of weeks since I brought up, center a couple weeks back and looking at Jake. When I dropped that article, everyone started talking about center, and I'm like, there's a reason why. And you just hit the nail right on the head. You can pull a left tackle in a second, third, or fourth round that could end up being a stud. It happens. It happens more often than it doesn't. With a center, those are generational guys. And you're talking, the names that you mentioned, but the Jason Kelce's, the Creed Humphreys. Here, you know what? Let me just pull up. I kind of went through this the other day.
Like a true center that has the nerve, the grit, the strength, the agility, to be able to, the intelligence, to point out blitzing linebackers, to be able to assign different guys to block different people, the athleticism to be able to snap that ball, stand straight up, but also lunge forward with enough force to where that DT is not driving you backwards, and you're able to maintain the balance, but also push forward so that he gets no leverage on you while delivering a perfect snap to the quarterback in a shotgun or in a pistol. Like, that's not just handing the ball between your cheeks and giving it to the quarterback. Like, that's snapping the ball through the air. Like, you got to be like Caleb Williams. That should have been an intentional grounding. That center snapped that ball freaking 25 yards behind him.
Right. Yeah. So when you speak of centers that are generational opportunities, there might be one a draft you could say that these guys in the first round that are taken are generational, but if you look at, I'll just go back to 2015. Cameron Irving, I don't know if the name doesn't register with me as well. I don't know much about him, but he was in 2015. But if you go back to 2016, you have Ryan Kelly, and in the third round, Graham Glasgow, Michigan. The Lions drafted him in the third round in 2016. 2017, Ethan Pochik. I don't think he ever really turned out to much. I can't remember. 2018, though, you had Frank Ragnow. And in 2019, you had Garrett Bradbury. 2020, you had Cesar Ruiz. 2021, you had Landon Dickerson. But in the third round, you had Creed Humphrey. In the fourth round, you had Quinn Meniers. And then in the fifth round, Drew Dahlman. Like, that doesn't ever happen. Or in 2020, Lloyd Cushenberry or Tyler Biadasz in the fourth round. Like, just to see that some of those names that pop up are like Nick Allegretti in the fifth round in 2019. There's some amazing names that pop up. But when you talk about generational guys like Frank Ragnow, that I'm pretty sure he was going to be a neurosurgeon or brain something pretty high up. He's like extremely intelligent. To your point, you have to be extremely intelligent to play center because it is the hardest position in football. The second hardest position is probably quarterback. You could say quarterback's probably the first. Center's just as equal, if not second. Tight end's probably the third hardest position. Middle linebacker, I'd say, is 4, and 5 would be safety. Center's a very demanding, very difficult job. Like to your point, being able to maintain your leverage, maintain your pad level, your launch point, your contact point, everything. And then to be able to move and sync with everybody and dance, the way that these guys are dancing, and then have the wherewithal to get up into the second level and go find a floating linebacker. It's not for everybody. Frank Ragnow was one of the best to ever do it, and there's very few that are that elite. And if the Lions can find one in this draft, you have to take them. And you know what else you have to do? If you have an elite left tackle in this draft, you have to trade 2027's draft capital to do it. You have to. And
I saw somebody in here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I saw somebody in here say that they're unhappy with the depth at edge. And I hate to beat a dead horse. and I know you've gone over this 101 different ways and times, but the Detroit Lions do not need an edge rusher.
No.
We have DTs that can play edge.
That's the
or
thing that they don't.
defensive end.
That's the thing that they don't understand is, and I don't know who said it, Raw, but this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. This defense is not about 3-4 outside linebacker type of edge rushers. They're defensive ends, right? And you have a big defensive end, you have a speed defensive end. You have a linebacker, hopefully this year, that they pluck that can get you some speed off the edge. That's what we're really missing. We're really missing our outside linebackers that have speed off the edge and the ability to get after the quarterback. Derek Barnes is terrible at it. Alex Anzalone wasn't great at it either. And so far, Jack Campbell hasn't proven enough to
I don't ever want to hear somebody say Jack Campbell at edge.
No, what I'm saying.
Linebacker.
Yes, but what I'm saying is Jack Campbell hasn't proven enough to be able to get after the quarterback either from the middle linebacker position, but he's also not being asked to do it. The point is we, to your point, we bring guys in that are hybrids. We're starting to bring guys in that are able to go inside out. Josh Pascal, Levi Onwuzurike, both those guys inside out. Mekhi Wingo inside out. Tyleik Williams, he's huge, but he's also able to play a little bit of inside out. So what you're going to see is hybrid guys on this defensive line. You're not seeing just a strict defensive tackle that rushes the B gap and that's it. You're going to see guys move around.
You remember don't mean to cut you off. You remember the old Pittsburgh Steelers defense where they had Cameron Hayward and Calais Campbell playing the edge? That was a traditional 3-4 defense, but those two guys were the anchors on the edge. Those were big boys.
Yeah.
They were extremely athletic and explosive off the snap. That is why they were able to do that. I think we have one guy on this roster for sure, maybe two, that can play that role as a DN.
Yeah.
And I think we drafted him last year in Tyleik Williams.
You know, and it's not to say that the Lions won't address the position, but I think we have to realize for a moment here that position is not the end all be all. You have three guys on the interior. You're going to lose DJ Reader more than likely. And that's why Tyleik Williams was brought in. He's the same size, but he has more speed. He has more agility. He's able to get after the passer. He's just a rookie, right? Next year, he'll have a big jump. I mean, this year, I've seen plenty out of the guy that tells me he's going to be just fine. He's going to shed a few percentage of fat this year. He's going to get leaner and stronger. He's going to get more intelligent in the offseason. He's going to come back next year and be, you know.
Look at Aleem McNeil.
Yeah.
His jump from year 2 to year 3. That's what earned him that contract. That jump from year 2 to year 3 was so massive.
Right.
He literally took over that D-line by himself.
No, he did. And he was a top 10 defensive tackle before he got injured last year. So was Levi Onwuzurike. Last season was a top 10 defensive tackle before he got injured. Imagine if we had Levi this year, where this defensive line would have been. Brad had the vision. Brad knew exactly what he was doing by addressing the trenches from day one. And in multiple drafts, he was addressing the trenches on both sides of the football. We're just in a transition point right now where we're going to have to get rid of some of the old, bring in some of the new, and it just takes a year or so to adjust. Because why? Because there's a lot of players on this team that if you got rid of them, fans would melt down more than anything else versus bringing in another edge. Like if you got rid of St. Brown, or if you got rid of Jameson Williams, or if you got rid of Jahmyr Gibbs or Jack Campbell or Sam Laporta, like think of all the names that are on this roster that are getting paid, have been paid. Like that doesn't happen on many teams. You can't point to many teams and say you have 8 max contracts already within 4 seasons. Like it's rare. And now you have to get 8 or 4 more over the next year or two. And the Lions have a lot to manage there. So that's why they have to live within the draft. They're not going to live in free agency. They're not going to bring in guys they haven't brought up and developed and trained to do it their way. They want their guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. But this is a transition year.
I really enjoy the roster that we have. I think we got a lot of talent especially at the depth position for some of these positions that people think we may need to come up. Like wide receiver seemed to be a big hole after we started depleting through our practice squad. But if everybody's healthy, I think we're really deep at wide receiver. DB room, once everybody gets healthy, I think we're really deep at wide receiver at DBs. And I use DBs as safeties and corners lumped together.
So
I think
what
the positions we need to address is the O-line and our linebackers. That's what I think we need to address. I like Malcolm Rodriguez, but I think he would be the number 4 linebacker on most rosters. I like Derek Barnes, and it was good to see him get his feet under him today because the last couple of weeks he didn't have it. So he's playing much quicker, much more instinctual today. But I'd like this. I think he's like a linebacker 4 or 5 on other rosters. Jack Campbell is a linebacker 1. Alex Anzalone's a linebacker 3. I think we need to address the linebacker position, and I think we need to continue to invest in the O-line until we find pieces that work and we build that wall in front of Goff. Because when we build that wall in front of Goff, we also build that wall in front of Gibbs. And I say Gibbs because I don't know if Monty's going to stick around.
Well, you just got to listen to what Tom Brady said. If anyone has any faith, I mean, a lot of Michigan fans in here have a lot of faith in Tom Brady. So what he just said about Jared Goff during the game is you give that man some protection. He's one of the best in the league. And what he failed to say is he'll be one of the best ever because Jared Goff has those kind of stats and he's done a lot in this league already. And I get sick of hearing, I don't get it. I get sick of hearing people say, well, Jared Goff can only win if you give him an offensive line. Tell me one quarterback in this league that hasn't won without an off.
That right now.
Yeah, no, there's
been that right now.
There's been
I had
nobody.
that argument earlier today with somebody. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I had that argument with someone earlier today, and I was like, they brought up Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, the usual names associated with fame at the quarterback position. And I was like, well, Jared Goff had better stats than most of those guys in 2023, 2024, and this year in 2025. And they're like, well, he had Ben Johnson. I was like, well, he didn't have Ben Johnson this year, and he still has better stats than all 4 of those guys. And he's like, well, he's got a brick wall in front of him. I was like, okay, well, that's true for 2023 and 2024, but this year he didn't. So what do you like? Why is Jared Goff succeeding now? He doesn't have Ben Johnson. He doesn't have a brick wall in front of him, and he's still better than 95% of the quarterbacks in the league. Why? What's your next excuse for decrediting how well Jared Goff is playing at quarterback?
You know what it is? Raw, it is this. He
plays for Detroit.
No, it's
that
this.
Is it.
Well, yes, but here's the other thing. It's this excuse too. We need another edge. Aiden needs help. We're never going to be good until Aiden gets another edge rusher. Like it's the same argument. It's just they just don't like Jared Goff. They think that you need a mobile quarterback.
That is correct. You think they need a mobile quarterback, but I bring this up as well, and I'm not comparing the two because I think they're both great players. But when Matthew Stafford was in Detroit, he was balling out all over the place. But everybody hated on him and talked him down. He was extremely underrated in Detroit, the most underrated quarterback in the league. Played in Detroit. He switched to LA. During that first season, he was still extremely underrated. Nobody gave him his just dues. He won that Super Bowl. Oh, he had Cooper Kupp. He had that defense. He had Sean McVay. That's why he won that Super Bowl. They're still not giving him his credit. He's about to win MVP of the season. Now everyone's like, I really love Stafford. He's a great quarterback. He's been through it all. He's done it all. Why are they giving him his flowers now when they weren't giving him his flowers through history? It's the same thing with Jared Goff right now. Everyone's going to be hating on him. And even when he does accomplish something, they're still going to find a reason to hate on him and throw shade until there's nothing left for them to throw shade on.
Well, when he wins a
He's
Super
going to
Bowl,
go down as the second most accurate quarterback in the history of the league.
yeah, and when he wins a Super Bowl, it'll still never be enough. Here's a snapshot at Jared Goff's stats before I've tried to bring him in multiple times. I'll bring him in right after this. Here's a snapshot at Jared Goff's stats with Ben Johnson. We'll just go 2023. 67.3% completion percentage, 4,575 yards, 30 TDs, 12 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 97.9. Ben Johnson, 2024, 72.4% completion percentage, 4,629 yards, 37 TDs to 12 interceptions again, 111.8. And Jared Goff's second worst offensive line in his history with Detroit, 2021 being the first. Jared Goff was 68.3% completion percentage in 2025, which is his second best since he's been in Detroit. Remember, Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator for 3 of those years, right? And that's Jared Goff's second best. 4,233 yards. That's Jared Goff's, let's see, second most yards, and 33 TDs. That is Jared Goff's second most TDs since he's been in Detroit, and only 7 interceptions, which is Jared Goff's best, tied for his best ever. His second best ever was in 2022, was 7, but a 107 rating, which is also his second best ever in Detroit and second best ever in his career. So hardly any fall off between last year and this year, a difference of about 400 yards. He had 4 less TDs. He also had 5 less interceptions. I don't know. I mean, I don't see much of a fall off there when you consider everything else.
It's not. And here's the icing on the cake. Everybody says Jared Goff is not a good quarterback when you get pressure on him, when you put pressure in his face. I don't know a quarterback that is elite when you put pressure in his face. But Jared Goff this year was blitzed more than 33% of his dropbacks. So that's more than 1/3 of the time he dropped back to pass. Defenses were blitzing him.
Right.
What was his statistics this year again?
68.3%.
I believe he's top 3 and majority of the quarterback stats that actually matter.
He is. Yeah.
So is that his biggest weakness? Is bringing pressure on him? Because it doesn't seem like it is. It sounds like it's his greatest strength.
Well, his greatest strength is
dare you.
Yeah, it's when he gets blitzed. I mean, it's when he actually gets the blitz that turns to pressure that his stats will kind of fall in half. But then again, I'll say this. Tell me another quarterback that doesn't happen to, because every single one it does, whether you're a mobile quarterback, a dual threat, or not, a pocket passer, all of those quarterback stats will cut in half the minute that they start to get some pressure. Couple of things in the chat that I'm going to bring in Jared Goff here since we're talking about him right now. Good stat here brought up by Richard Warford Jr. says, even with the mediocre offensive line, Jared Goff passed Stafford for the most 300-yard games in a Lions uniform, and guess what? He did it in 5 less seasons, which is insane. The fact that he did it that fast. All right, let's bring in the man that we're talking about, and Jared Goff's at the podium.
How could it feel to get a win in that environment, just close the season on a...
Yeah, it felt good, man. It felt good to finish it that way, and I thought we played well in all phases. I thought we left some points out there offensively, certainly in the red zone, but defense played really well and gave us a couple more chances there, and we made it happen. Batesy with the big one.
Offense was super efficient today, especially in the first half. Just what kind of helped you guys get off on the right foot and keep going?
Yeah, we were mixing it up pretty good. I thought the play calling was really good, and the run game was working, the play action was working, the drop back was working. Our time of possession was really good. We were holding on to the ball. We were converting on 3rd down. All the stuff that's typically indicative of a good offense, we were doing that in the first half, and just wish we could have punched in those red zone ones.
7 different pass catchers. Your guys kind of making plays when they needed to. Just how nice is it to end the year that way offensively? Getting the football to your playmakers and having them make plays to win games.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there at the end, getting to St. Brown to close it out felt really good, and Yeah, we got a lot of really good skill players, and being able to get them out in space was nice.
Does it ever cease to amaze you how he can just keep coming into games banged up? Like I think back to the
Saint?
Brown
Yeah.
this week too, and just have the kind of performance that he did today.
Yeah, we're kind of used to it, and it's probably taking it for granted a little bit, but he doesn't complain. He doesn't say a word about it. He shows up to practice. It's 10 degrees out there. You guys were out there. He's practicing hard. He's doing everything right. Like you would never know either way, which just speaks to how special he is as a human.
Had a few old friends on that sideline, Ben, JT.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you guys had any extra juice coming into this game because of that?
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think he's a great coach. He's doing great things. Have really good memories, obviously, with him, and they've got the playoffs to look forward to, and we don't. But we were just trying to get a W. I think it was more so just in division. You want to win that one, less about who it is over there. But yeah.
What did you make taking some shots this year? What was it like?
They played great today, man. They really did. Yeah, they played really well. All those guys played well. Hubbard, I thought, stepped up in a huge way at right tackle, and they were leaning on him. The run game was really good. We were opening it up for those guys. Downhill, you could see the line of scrimmage moving, and then the pass protection was really good as well. So they had a really good day today, and I was proud of those guys.
Any advice for David on the sack that he took there?
Yeah, throw it away. Yeah, no. It's always hard for those skill guys to be able to think like they're throwing it, and then they got to throw it away. But, yeah, you wish you threw it away, but whatever. I wish you would give me a jump ball opportunity just down the field.
All good, guys?
All good. Thank you, guys.
Kind of a short interview for Jared Goff. Not much happening for these guys. Look, man, it's been a crazy season. Rod, kind of give me your wrap-up take on, anything else that you want to quickly discuss here for this season. And I'm sure we'll have you. I'm sure we'll have you on again. But yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I really don't think we need to change a whole lot. I think we need an OC. That is one, first and foremost. I think we need to start that there. I think we need to hire from within. I don't know what Scotty Montgomery's play calling history is like, but we didn't know what Ben Johnson's play calling history was like either. I think we need to avoid any sort of tampering with the NFL and hire from within the organization. And that seems to be the stronger play for our franchise. Guys who have been through the struggle, guys that are going through the grit. Calvin Shepard, I think, is fine. I don't see a need to replace him. He's only going to improve and get better. Our defense, we have a lot to look forward to. Again, our defense is designed to stop the run for second and third and long situations. When we do that, then we can pin our ears back and rush the passer.
Well, let me
let
me stop you real quick there, because that's another good point. I think that a lot of Lions fans don't understand, again, that this defense is not like other defenses. There's, just like my rifle, there's no other one like it. There's no other defense like this in the NFL right now. Their defense is meant to stop the run. That's it. They sell out for the run. They don't care about getting after the quarterback as much, and they do that so that they can get after the quarterback on third down if you've done your job. If you have not heard Calvin Shepard and Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes all say it numerous times over and over, we don't want third down guys to rush the passer on this team, because you need to be able to stop the run and earn the right to rush the passer. And Aiden's even said that. You need to earn the right to rush the passer in this league, which means you have to play better against the run. And until this team can get back to its winning ways of stopping the run, I'm sorry, but we're only going to finish third in sacks. Oh, boy. Third. Oh, that's funny. We're not in the playoffs, Raw, but we're third in sacks, our best ever. Make it make sense, man, but go ahead.
I think the one position as well that I think I said linebackers and O-line, but there is one other position I think we need an upgrade at, and we actually may use a second-round pick on this, is we need another corner opposite of Tyrion Arnold.
Yeah.
DJ Reed just didn't cut it this year. I don't know if he just hurt and can't get his legs underneath him. He's too tight in the hips and he can't turn like he used to. We need another physical man corner that can line up in front of these wide receivers and jam up an A.J. Brown.
Yep.
Jam up a DK Metcalf. We need a physical man corner that can do that. And that's only going to bolster our run defense even more, because when you can jam these wide receivers and don't let them get a push on you, you're able to come down and take away those outside angles that running backs may use the cut with. I'd like to see us get a couple linebackers in this draft, and I'd like us to get a couple O-linemen. Anything else, I think we're way ahead of the pace on. I think we're in better shape going into the next season than Green Bay. I think we're in better shape going into the next season than Minnesota and also Chicago, especially since we already got 2 wins on Ben Johnson. He's 0-2 against us. They may be in the playoffs, but they're not legit NFC North champions because they didn't beat everybody in the division.
Well, they didn't beat everybody, number one. And they got to hand it to them, man. They're sitting on the couch.
They split with the Packers. They split with actually no. They swept the Packers, right?
I don't think so.
The Packers beat them game 1. Yes, the Packers.
Yeah,
beat
Packers beat them
game
game 1.
Game 2. So they split with the Vikings. They split with the Packers. They got swept by Detroit. They're not true NFC North champions because you got to beat your division at least once.
Yeah. I just want to wind back to one more thing you said about Dan Jackson, the safety that the Lions brought in last year, I believe 7th round pick, was playing at a playing at a very high level. I mean, obviously it's a little bit too early to know, but thank goodness he was injured early and should be able to make a full recovery and be back for camp here in 2026. So it isn't a name to keep your eyes on, but I did want to disagree with you on one thing. I like Dan Jackson. I think he has a future, but I think the Lions should go out and find another safety, just quite simply because of Kirby Joseph. And it's not so much the Brian Branch injury that I'm worried about. It's the Kirby Joseph injury, or is it really an injury, or is his body, kind of deflating on him a little bit? He's got bone on bone. He has a, potential cartilage issue that's never going to get better. That is my biggest concern, which is the safety positions. My third biggest concern for this team going into the draft. I just don't know. I just don't know where we're going to get all these resources.
Would it still concern you if I just run through this list right now? Okay.
Which list?
So we have Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Maddox.
Yep.
Rock Yassin, who can play safety. We got Mallet, Harrell. And if we pick up another corner here, a hybrid corner, a physical man corner who can play both positions, do you still want another safety?
Yeah, I do, because I don't think that one, Hallett's going to have to get offered a contract, a futures contract. Maddox is going to have to get offered a contract. So until those guys are buttoned up, but even if they are, I think that we have to go after a safety. And even if it's a 3rd round guy, Dan Jackson's coming back from injury. Kirby Joseph may not come back. Brian Branch is coming back from injury. So all those guys are injured. And I want to get a healthy guy in that back end, because I think you agree too that our biggest issue this year has been the secondary. Once our secondary was depleted, man, it was a night and day difference after week 8, the bye week. We just fell apart.
It didn't matter if we stopped the run or not. Teams were throwing the ball in 3rd down and converting.
Exactly. There's too many explosives, man. I think we let up 40 some odd explosives, over 20 yards or something like that. It's just a crazy number. And that can't happen next year. It just can't. But hey, until the next time, man, which I'm sure won't be too far away. I appreciate you as always. I'm glad that we got a win tonight, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Always.
Rock on Detroit Lions.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Have a good night. The infamous Robbie's, man. It sucks that the season's over, but I do want to give you a stat. Let me refresh. Let me just make sure it's still there. The Detroit Lions now have 2 players in the top 9 with sacks this season. Aiden Hutchinson, who I predicted to have 12 sacks this season, has finished with 13.5, according to ESPN. El-Kadim Muhammad has 11, and he is number 9. Aiden is number 4. But get this. The Lions have a third player who is in the top 63, and that is Jack Campbell. The Lions have 3 players inside the top 63 for sacks this season. Jack Campbell has 5. El-Kadim Muhammad has 11. Aiden Hutchinson has 13.5. I'd say that's pretty damn good. I don't even know if there's another team that has 3 in the top 63. But if you think about it, no matter which way you slice the pie, really, on defense, there's 2 players at every position. And we have 3 in the top 63. So even if you were to take the top 64 from around the league, right? You got 32 starters, and then the other player on the other side, another 32. That's 64. We've got 3 in the top. What are we doing wrong? We don't need another edge. Sure, we are going to need some depth, and we don't know what Ahmed Hassanin is going to be just yet. But I would rather see that the Lions sink their claws into the trenches, primarily offensive line. Safety. Definitely need an athletic linebacker that can get after the passer, that is also extremely good in coverage, and someone that can also stump the run. And those players do exist. They do. They're hard to find. They're hard to draft. And more importantly, they're hard to keep. So if the Lions could find somebody in the offseason free agency period, which is just a couple of months away, then great. But I think that is the definite direction that the Lions need to go in, is outside linebacker that's going to end up replacing Alex Anzalone. Bring in another safety that is potentially going to be a starter, taking over for Kirby. Assuming Kirby may or may not be coming back, or may not be able to play, we don't know. Terrion Arnold just had his second shoulder surgery last night, so he's going to be out for a little bit. He's going to have a ways, to come back. A lot of our secondary has a ways to come back. So I think that is a very important position that I know Brad Holmes will address once again for us here in the offseason. Man, next week, tomorrow, we're going to get right into draft talk, free agency talk, you name it. It's what's next. It's going to fulfill our minds. Mock drafts are going to start flying between now and the end of April. I believe April 26th will be at the draft. I believe the combine, I think, is end of May. Or I'm sorry, end of February. We'll be there. Working on getting sideline passes. We'll be credentialed, and we'll have a better look, a better inside look this year. 63, that's right. See, Thomas, I don't think you understand the significance of it. That's why, for people like you, it'll never get better for people like you. You always look at things like it's, glass half full. But the fact that we are the only team that has 3 in the top 63, 2 in the top 9, that's a pretty significant deal. So you've got 3 guys that are in the top 63. Now, I'll say it again real slow. That means for the top 2 starters, any 2 that you want to take, 2 linebackers, 2 defensive ends, 2 defensive tackles, 2 corners, 2 safeties, whatever 2 you want to take, having 2 in the top 64 is a big deal. It is an absolute big deal. So you may not get it, you may not understand it, but I think the majority of people do. Either way, the Lions have 2 in the top 9, finished 3rd in sacks this year, and we're still complaining about sacks. It's the most uneducated thing I've ever heard in my life. Honestly. It really is, because that's not how football games are won. It's just not. How football games are won is by keeping points off the board. Last I checked, the teams that are in the postseason aren't keeping points off the board through sacks. They didn't last year either. All right, well, that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here on a high note. Look, the Lions season was a downer. We didn't get to where we wanted to be, but we have a 3rd winning season, 4th winning season, in a row under Dan Campbell. And honestly, I can't tell you the last time, and I haven't looked, the last time that has happened for the Lions to have 4 winning seasons. In both the seasons that we didn't make the playoffs, we finished 9-8. In both of those years, we should have made the playoffs. I'll go back to what Jim Jackson said earlier. The Lions finished even in the NFC North with 2 other teams. Well, they had a better record than the Packers. Technically, they didn't, but they didn't have any more wins than us. We were only 2 games out of taking the NFC North this year. And those 2 games could have been against the Vikings. Those 2 games could have been against the Packers. Or it could have been 1 against each. Next season, the Lions have to do their job at beating their division opponents. And, I don't know, kick the refs in the balls on the way down the field. I'm sick and tired of the refs taking stuff out of our hands. The refs, something's got to change. But it only is going to change if you do something about it. You have to get louder. You have to tell the NFL how you feel. I said it earlier in the season, and, maybe you wait till after the season, but, places like ESPN are getting really big right now because they bought the NFL. If everyone started to cancel all their subscriptions, they might start listening. So think about that. When there's no football on, between mid-February and September, you might want to think about canceling your subscriptions. Just saying. It might wake them up. And when they send you that little message, why are you leaving? And you click other, and then you're able to leave a message. Say, because the NFL is rigged. And that's it. 2026 season will be up next in September, but we're not going away. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., Rise and Grind morning show. We'll be here to stay, and we'll be back doing video content here shortly. I got some new things planned for the season. We'll get rolling. I'm definitely taking some vacations this year. I'll tell you what. It's been a long one, but appreciate all of you guys. Do me a favor, subscribe if you haven't, like if you haven't, share it with a friend, let somebody know. Detroit Football Journal is open for you to subscribe for free, and if you do it right now, you're going to get a free 6-month subscription at DetroitFootballJournal.com. Here's the next season, man. It all starts with free agency, and then the draft, and then we'll be right back into the thick of it. By the time you blink, we're going to be here again. So, until the next one, y'all, appreciate you. It's been a good season. Not the season we all wanted, but there's always next year. We'll see ya.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down.